What's up, y'all? Talon here, and today I'm back with another series of high-level rank battles featuring top teams in the Regulation E format. Today I have a team that was piloted by Xiliang Tang and Justin Tang to both a top 8 and a top 32 finish at the Toronto Regional Championships. The team was also built by Gavin Michaels with a slight variation, basically a lot of EV changes, as well as the Salamence being a Tera Steel instead of a Tera Flying, but essentially the same team outside of that. He was able to pilot it to a top 16 finish, 11-3 record, along with Justin Tang, and then Xiliang was the one who got 10-4. I did want to highlight it for you guys today. If you enjoy the content, please subscribe to the channel. And with all that being said, let's get into a breakdown of the team. So to go over each of the members on the team kind of on a higher level, the Iron Bundle pairs really well with the Pelipper just because it really elevates the amount of damage it can output with the water type Hydro Pump in the Drizzle. Drizzle also additionally gives Amoonguss and Gholdengo pseudo resistances to the fire type moves, which would otherwise cause them some issues, and allows them to perform their roles of either setting up on Gholdengo's side or setting up spores and basically just sticking around on the field as much as possible for the both of them. And then Salamence gets the Hurricane 100% accurate and Tailwind, which is really appreciated, as well as providing Intimidate support for the already pretty bulky team, just elevating that even more. And then the Iron Hands is on the team basically as a glue Pokemon just to stay on the field, do consistent damage and chip things down, provide fake out pressure, and basically give Gholdengo turns to set up nasty plot. Going a little more in detail, this Iron Bundle, it looks pretty standard. Tera Ghost, Freeze Dry, Icy Wind, Hydro Pump, all very standard, booster energy speed. But what makes this Iron Bundle stand out is the level of bulk that was put into it. On Xiliang's team, I believe it has max HP, or at least very close to it, and then the rest of the EVs dumped into special defense and then defense, as well as like a little bit of special attack, but really no speed. So you'll be the slowest booster energy Pokemon on the field, outside of maybe Roaring Moon, depending on how much speed they have. But yeah, overall opting for bulk, knowing that the other booster energy Pokemon aren't that common, and you really don't want to be putting your Iron Bundle in front of a Fluttermane anyways if it's booster speed, just because although you can outspeed it, like you can't really do much more than that. So I like the bulk on the Iron Bundle a fair bit, just because a lot of people's game plans surround around maybe like a Tera Fairy Dazzling Gleam taking a stray knockout or a couple heat waves from Heatran, just doing the trick. But if you have this much bulk, that's going to be a little difficult to achieve. Iron Hands, Drain Punch, and Wild Charge are often other attacks that people expect to knock out that won't knock out this Iron Bundle, so you are getting a little more turns on the field than people are used to playing against, and I think that can throw off people's game plans. Not too much to comment on the Amoonguss, just the Regenerator Citrus Berry means that you can take a hit earlier in the battle, get a Spore off, and then or a Rage Powder, then switch out and then come back in pretty close to full health and then do it all over again. Salamence is definitely the standout Pokemon on the team. This one is a Choice Scarf Tera Flying set. Gavin's was ultimately Tera Steel with Iron Head over Air Slash. Definitely both have their trade-offs. Air Slash a little more consistent to bring outside of rain, and then the Tera Steel one has to go for a flying type Hurricane if you want to be using a flying type move, but you also can go for a little bit better defensive Steel Tera and knock out Fluttermane if it has no bulk with Iron Head, and do like pretty close to 80 to 90% if they have a fair amount of bulk. Flying coverage is really good right now, so I do like the ability to go for Hurricane on 2 Pokemon on the team. You're able to do incredible damage to both of the Ogre Pawns. They pretty much have to Tera out of it to be able to survive that hit, and that's generally just really appreciated. Forcing a Tera out of Ogre Pawn is not something a lot of Pokemon in this metagame can do without actually using a Tera themselves, so not having to do that is really high value. And you can go for Air Slash if you're not in the Drizzle for a little bit more consistency, as well as a late game flinching Hail Mary option, and then Draco Meteor is just good coverage into things that are not weak to flying type. The Tailwind might look a little weird given Pelipper, Iron Hands, and Amoonguss don't really benefit from it. Iron Bundle's already outspeeding a lot of things, but I think that's really meant to be paired with Gholdengo. We'll get to the Gholdengo in a bit, but after a few nasty plots, you can get 1 or 2 up with the Iron Hands and the Amoonguss on the field, just providing lots of consistent support for that. So after you've gotten your 3rd one, you're like, okay, I've probably taken a fair amount of hits. Now I really need to be getting some damage on the field, but Gholdengo isn't the fastest Pokemon in the metagame, so it can be difficult to get those hits off. So as soon as Amoonguss or Iron Hands leaves the field, Salamence can come in, and instead of going for a damaging option, you actually can go for a Scarf Tailwind, outspeed most things in the metagame, and then suddenly your Gholdengo is now outspeeding and going for crazy like +4 make it rain sometimes, and cleaning up the battle from there. Touching on the Pelipper, it did get a new tool in the Scarlet and Violet DLC, the Teal Mask with the Weather Ball. Conventionally, you had to run Hydro Pump on Pelipper before. I've definitely lost a tournament set to a Hydro Pump miss, so having the option that for a 100 base power Weather Ball, Although it can be turned off by rain going off the field or something like that. Just generally really consistent damage that you'd like to have over Hydro Pump, because Pelipper's damage output isn't that crazy anyway, so just getting consistent damage on the field is what you want. Pelipper is also Tera Flying here, so if you face up against an Amoonguss, you can go for the Tera Flying to guarantee that KO instead of doing like 70% with the Hurricane, and that's generally a pretty aggressive option, but if you're playing against a team that's really reliant on the Amoonguss, either forcing the Tera with your own Tera can be valuable, or just getting the knockout straight up can really affect the tide of the battle. Protect is pretty standard on Pelipper, as is Focus Sash, not a lot of bulk on it, so you want to give it as many tools to stick around and set up rain, maybe once or twice in a battle if you can. But we have Wide Guard as the last move. Sometimes we see Tailwind, Salamence has that in this case. Sometimes Helping Hand, but definitely I think Wide Guard is correct here, just because you could find yourself struggling against spread moves, spamming teams like Trick Room, Size Spam, etc. So having the option to go for Wide Guard to support your relatively Psychic and Fire weak team. If the Torkoal comes in and you don't have rain on the field, everything on your team takes crazy damage from it. Even the Salamence, which is the one resist, will get pretty close to it KO'd. I think it actually would, so having the Wide Guard to stuff those Trick Room teams is definitely very valuable. Gholdengo, making its name once again as a staple on rain, is running a Nasty Plot Make It Rain Shadow Ball set. A lot of bulk, a lot of speed on this one, and a lot of power with leftovers, increasing its longevity even more. Although we've seen Tera Steel and Tera Water in the past, as Tera Dragon has really been the new hotness in the Regulation E format, just because of all the Ogre Pawns that it's able to basically sit on. Also being able to Tera out of its fire weakness, it's pretty much all of its weaknesses actually, there's no shared weaknesses there. And it does put people in a weird situation where they kind of need to threaten the Tera out with the Shadow Ball on something like a Flutter Mane, but to do so, they are kind of putting themselves in harm's way of Make It Rain, and if you're able to heal up after the Shadow Ball and knock out the Flutter Mane early in the battle, late game the Tera Dragon, they just don't have any answers to anymore. So it's a really cool Tera, and a lot of players kind of took notice of it, even going back to the first Regulation E regional, James Beck winning with the Tera Dragon Gholdengo. But yeah, it's a really strong Pokemon on this team, and in general, something to watch out for. Last up, as mentioned, is the Iron Hands, very boring Wild Charge, Heavy Slam, Drain Punch, Fake Out with a Tera Water, very strong defensive type. Beyond that, yeah, I do just want to comment once again that the main mode on this team, I think, is going to be Pelipper enabling the Salamence, as well as Amoonguss, Iron Hands, and Salamence enabling Gholdengo. And then Iron Bundle in a bit of, in matchups where they don't have a lot of water resist, you can really take advantage of that and just spam Hydro Pump. That is a little risky because you can miss those, but you also do have a lot of bulk to let yourself tank a hit even if you do miss. That's an overview of what I think is probably one of the cooler meta calls from the Toronto Regionals. We'll get into the battles now. If you enjoyed the team breakdown, please subscribe to the channel, and yeah, let's get into it. Okay, now up against Moltres, Grimmsnarl, Sinistcha, Arcanine, Fluttermane, and Ogerpon. So, not a lot that's really threatening like, I feel like Salamence is a decent bring here if I can get Hydro Pumps going, but it's not really doing that much in screens. I think what I really should focus on this matchup is the Gholdengo. Like, yeah, that definitely feels correct. Unless they lead pretty deliberately, I don't see what they have for Amoonguss, truthfully. Like, if I set up Rain, I can really easily go for Spores against them. I feel like Salamence is decently poised against some of their Pokemon, but not that well. Let's see. Iron Hands feels like a solid bring. I do have reason to worry about the Moltres behind screens, honestly, but if I can Spore that, it's not such an issue. So how can they stop me from getting a Spore on the Moltres? I think probably trying to Flare Blitz me, like double me up. That could be something. So I think I'm going to bring the Iron Hands as some bulk, and then the... am I going to see Rain being that valuable here? My guess is no. I think I might get a little more value out of Booster Energy on the Iron Bundle. So no Rain here, which might be a mistake against the Arcanine. Like, it could lock into Rock Slide against some of my Pokemon pretty easily and be doing pretty solid damage, but we'll have to see. If I'm able to Icy Wind the Arcanine, then it'll just drop to a hit that way. Okay, they do lead Fluttermane plus Arcanine, so definitely wishing a little bit that I had the the Iron Hands, or the Rain switch in, basically. Photosynthesis for speed. Interesting. Okay, so that's way less threatening. They definitely are threatening a ton of damage here. Almost forcing me to... Yeah, I think I'm pretty much forced to switch here. Shadow Ball, Flare Blitz. I feel like Flare Blitz is probably targeting into the Amoonguss, although it could be Rock Slide. They are probably a little worried about the Pelipper switch in, because that is fairly free. But I didn't have the good sense to bring it myself, so... We will see what they go for. They go for Dazzling Gleam, kind of trying to cover me Tera Dragoning there, which makes sense. Dazzling Gleam does a lot, for sure, and it is Rock Slide, so they covered the Tera pretty well there. Now the question is, what do we want to do this turn? They can probably Tera Fairy Moonblast. Life Orb, that's kind of bad. Okay. That's unfortunate for me, actually. Oh, man. Yeah, I think I just go Fake Out into you and Spore. Yeah, that was really good. Life Orb Arcanine, that's definitely troublesome because I'm a little more reliant on them locking in than anything else. But they are taking the opportunity to switch out into the Ogerpon, so yeah, they're going to be able to block my Spore attempt into their Flutter Mane with a Follow Me very easily. So I'm going to Fake Out, or Pollen Puff that next turn, most likely. Booster Speed is usually Icy Wind, Shadow Ball, sometimes Moonblast. It's kind of a toss-up. But yeah, I'm going to go right for the Pollen Puff into you, and I feel like you're not Shadow Balling. If you are, great play, but it kind of feels unlikely. What am I getting out of that switch, though? Not a lot, just like defensive positioning to an extent. I don't think I can afford to lose my Iron Hands just yet. And if they go for Shadow Ball, that's a really aggressive play when I could just like go Drain Punch and hope I live the hit. Like, you haven't revealed Moonblast, so it's reasonably likely. Oh god, they went for an attack. Okay. That's pretty annoying. Because I could have Spored you. That's fine as long as you did not crit, which it looks like you might have, but that's fine. Pollen Puff does a big chunk to you. I actually get a crit on them. I'm kind of tempted to Spore the Ogerpon, but they are covering me pretty well. Okay, yeah, I think I'm going to Pollen Puff you. Protect is pretty safe on the Flutter again. Yeah, there's a lot of safe plays for them. I think I'm just going to Protect the Gholdengo, get a turn of Leftovers healing, which might be valuable. But was kind of tempted to Spore or Pollen Puff the Ogerpon this turn. They could just have that covered with Spiky Shield, but yeah, they actually have a lot covered with Dazzling Gleam, Ivy Cudgel in a second. But no Protect coming out of the Flutter Mane. It was Shadow Ball, so that's pretty good. That's very good, I think. They go for Ivy Cudgel, so now I think we're going to have a pretty safe Nasty Plot Pollen Puff here. Yeah, they didn't go for like Tera Grass or anything like that, which is good, because that would have like really set my momentum behind a little bit. I don't have a ton of resources for that in this, what would be the first game in a best of one. So yeah, now I'm just gonna go Tera Dragon Nasty Plot, set it right up, and no switches from them is really ideal. Like Ivy Cudgel, unless they crit, shouldn't knock me out. I would honestly be surprised if a crit did knock me out. Nasty Plot could be an issue in a turn though. Or them waking up would be an issue rather. We will see though. They go for Ivy Cudgel and it looks like it crit. It did not. Okay, yeah, I'm way underestimating their damage output, truthfully. So we get the Nasty Plot up. Might have been a little better to go for Shadow Ball or something that turn. Just take the damage there. The question is, do I live a Dazzling Gleam? I think probably not. But I can't do a ton about that, in all truth. in all truth and fairness. So I'm going to Pollen Puff, make it rain here. If they wake up in Dazzling Gleam, then I want to at least take a knockout. Should I do that? Yeah, I think I bank on the 2/3. They don't wake up. Okay, they do. That's really good. And even with the crit now, this time for sure, Ivy Cudgel shouldn't knock out. And we take a double KO in exchange. Yeah, and they don't. Very good. Very nice, yeah. Throwing coins at them. So I think in an ideal world, I get the... Yeah, it was kind of weird they brought it in and didn't go for Follow Me. They were making a pretty aggressive play that I wouldn't just Spore their Flutter Mane. But yeah, knocking me on switch in really gained a lot of ground for them. Yep, healing back up to the nice number, and we are +1, but they have some Pokemon they can bring in. We're at a point where I'm actually okay, potentially. Moltres comes out, okay. That's not great. Because they haven't committed the Tera, their Life Orb, they probably knock me out. I do really feel forced to Spore here. I'm like really, like, Fiery Wrath would be a problem. I really want my Iron Bundle here, like, ASAP. So I think I'm actually going to Spore, make it rain. Because if they go for Rock Slide, that's fine. They have to... Like, the thought process here is, if they go for Rock Slide... Ooh. That's fine, because I can actually get more super effective damage on you. I'm totally fine with that. Yeah, if you don't have speed, then I outspeed you and do a ton of damage. If you go for Flare Blitz, or if you go for Rock Slide, then I get a Spore off this turn unless you flinch me with Air Slash. And if you go for Flare Blitz, then you knock yourself out. Which I think is a fair trade, especially because I outspeed you. So now I can do a couple of things. I could prime a Nasty Plot. I don't think that's... I mean, that makes sense, like if I protect Gholdengo, but now I think I have a pretty safe line into Fake Out Nasty Plot, given I outspeed you. And I can close the game out with Shadow Ball. Or Iron Bundle if it comes down to that, but I think we should be fine now. They didn't bring Grimmsnarl, they never set up any screens, so we're kind of chilling unless they're like Covert Cloak, which I guess they could be. But we do always have the... we have the Iron Bundle Hydro Pump as a fail-safe against that 85% of the time. And oftentimes they are Citrus Berry, so yeah, I wasn't too concerned about Covert Cloak being an option. And they're Citrus Berry just because it combos really well with the Berserk ability. Oftentimes you go below 50% just by a little bit, just because of the natural bulk on this Pokemon. And yeah, then you get 2 Berserk boosts potentially, and yeah, they do forfeit. Seeing the +2 Gholdengo outspeeding and threatening you along with the unkillable Iron Hands going to be a big ask for them. Looking at their team, I think it's probably a Dark-type Urshifu if I had to guess. I like Salamence actually a fair bit. Not really, it's not that good. If I could handle their Iron Bundle, it'd be really good. Actually don't mind maybe Pelipper lead. That could be cool. Yeah. Definitely tons of options here. I think Gholdengo is definitely a bring. I might want to have Pelipper later in the game, truthfully. I think Iron Hands is a pretty solid lead along with Iron Bundle. And then I want to go Pelipper and Gholdengo. This is actually what I brought last game, interestingly enough. But yeah, I do think I could make an argument for Amoonguss Gholdengo. I think I would always want to have Pelipper this game, but I could have maybe brought Amoonguss instead of something like Iron Bundle or Iron Hands to better support the Gholdengo against Urshifu. So they're going Rillaboom for Rigorath, which is interesting. Yeah, they have a pretty safe hit into me. I might have to give up my... Yikes, my Iron Bundle pretty early here. Which isn't the worst thing. Like, it's obviously not ideal, but not the worst. I think I want to get a quick hit into the Rillaboom if they don't go for an attack and switch in the Gholdengo. Yeah, so pretty poor Iron Bundle lead. I probably shouldn't be leading that against Trick Room teams, but I thought they'd lead a little bit more aggressively given they have Iron Bundle. I wanted to not be caught on the back foot from that. So I think worst we do is take a Wood Hammer here, honestly. They're going for a Tera, so they might... Oh, Helping Hand, Grass Tera. Ooh, Wood Hammer does knock out Iron Hands. They could be going for Grassy Glide, but I think Iron Hands is probably just a nice get for them. Yeah, could be Grassy Glide, but I really doubt it. Yikes. Okay, that's going to be a lot of damage into whatever it targeted, and I think that's just a knockout. Yikes, really cool team. Really, really cool option from them. I think that does confirm their Miracle Seed, though. They take a heaping helping of damage, so I'm not so concerned about that. And now I can bring in Pelipper and probably just... I could Hurricane Nasty Plot, and I think I will do that. Because I should have a knockout onto that. Do they have a really good switch in? I don't think so. So maybe I could... If I wanted to, I could probably double into the Farigiraf slot, but I think that's maybe a little risky. I might have to take a risk or two. They played pretty aggressively on that first turn. I think they might switch into maybe the... Iron Bundle, maybe? Yeah, I think I'm going to make a read here. I'm a little bit behind, so I'm going to go aggressive. They're not that high on ladder. Yeah, I think I'm going to go aggressive here. I'm not facing a ton of pressure. Dang it, yeah. I could have knocked out the Rillaboom this turn, so that's unfortunate. I will be healing a lot of HP this turn. Maybe I confused the Farigiraf, but yeah, it's looking kind of dire off that turn. Oh, Taunt. Okay. That's interesting. That kind of feels like a waste from them. They go for Hyper Voice. They're not affecting Gholdengo. That's fine. Why would they taunt that turn? I guess Wide Guard would have been fine for me, but now I have Make It Rain on them. So I guess the question is, do I care more about my Iron Bundle or do I care more about my... Yeah. Do I care more about... Yeah, this is Helping Hand, Hyper Voice, Throat Spray. That's weird. I guess that's fine. They'd have to protect this turn, and I think they're more likely to Grassy Glide into Pelipper, yeah, which they do. But I could have gone up pretty big by getting a Hurricane into the Rillaboom. I think playing aggressive is sometimes a little ill-advised on ladder, honestly. Just be like closed team sheet ladder, just because you don't know what your opponent has. Like, they had Taunt, not most likely Protect on this set, so I could have gone a Hurricane off, had my Pelipper still this turn, and been able to scout out their backs a bit more. But now I'm only at +1 on Gholdengo, but I do still have my Tera. But having lost my booster energy is pretty disadvantageous, I would say. They are Landorus, but it's not the end of the world, right? Iron Bundle? Okay. They could Freeze Dry, Earth Power me. Can they? I don't think they really can do that. They get the speed drop, fair enough. I could go, I think I'll tank a hit from them, honestly. Onto Bundle. Make It Rain's a little stronger on both. Like, Icy Wind, Tera Dragon is kind of tempting. As is Freeze Dry Protect. The issue is I'll just take a ton of damage. Yeah, I think I'm actually going to go Freeze Dry, Make It Rain, rather than Icy Wind, because I'll never be outspeeding the Iron Bundle anyways. If they go Freeze Dry, trying to double up into Gholdengo, then fair enough. But I think this eliminates the need for me to make a read as long as I knock out. Like, I could have protected either and predicted what the Landorus is going into, but did not do that. Okay, protect on Lando. fair enough. I don't think they'll tank the Make It Rain. They go for Icy Wind this turn, which makes a little bit of sense. I definitely wish I had gone for the Icy Wind to cover my damage rolls, but we'll see how it goes. Them burning my Tera is actually pretty bad, though. Because now they might be able to double up. We'll see how much this does. I think unless they're running a fair amount of bulk, this should knock out, but they definitely could live it. Yeah, Icy Wind would have been good for me there. Regardless, I think what I'm going to do this turn is... what's my play? I don't know. Protect is kind of obvious because I'm leftovers on the Gholdengo. I'm honestly considering going... Protect on the Iron Bundle. I honestly think I could live if they go for another Icy Wind. They probably don't. They probably freeze dry me. Or they go for an Icy Wind of their own. I'm going to go freeze dry, Make It Rain though, because I think I might live this hit with all the bulk on the Iron Bundle. So I'm going to try not to make a read here. They go for Icy Wind again, which feels kind of ill-advised to me. Like, I felt like freeze dry might have been a little better for them. They do guarantee they'll outspeed the... Oh. Okay, yeah, I didn't think about that. I actually set the rain up for them there, so that's really unfortunate. Definitely should have protected one. Yeah, I didn't consider that. I wouldn't have expected them to have that in a game like this, but we'll see if we have the bulk to take this game out now. Yeah, I didn't consider them having a double target move on the Landorus. That's something I'm not quite used to yet, and that really benefits them there. Yeah, grass finally wears off on the perfect turn from them, so yeah, well played to them. I think yeah. Unfortunate. Should have made a read one of those turns. I just didn't really consider Seer, Storm. Really the perfect move from them there, because I think if I'm able to attack with either, or if they only target either, I should be fine. Because I think I would have lived on Earth. I might not have lived Earth Power, actually. But if I get the Make It Rain off there, then I do think that I can probably heal up enough with Grassy Terrain and Lefties to win the game. But yeah. Definitely just overwhelmed by my opponent's options. Didn't really know it was coming. Okay, now we have Grimmsnarl, Okidoki, Ogerpon, Fluttermane, and Arcanine Sinistra. I think we just played a team very similar to this, but a Moltres in the place of the Okidoki, which I actually would prefer, maybe. Yeah, because I think if they're not a knockoff Okidoki, then Gholdengo really gives them trouble. I would like to put Pelipper Rain on the field right away and get the Amoonguss going. Yeah, that seems really favorable for me. I feel like this is a good opportunity to get the Mence going along as well, just because it handles the Ogerpon exceptionally well, which is, I think, my main concern about getting Pelipper on the field earlier is I'm giving them Rain. So if I don't get a Dragon Tera up very early on my Gholdengo, then I can switch in to Ivy Cudgel not especially well on any of my Pokemon if Amoonguss is on the lead. So it is Grimmsnarl, Okidoki. Pelipper would have been a lot better for me here, but it is what it is. I think this is a fairly free switch to Gholdengo, though. It really depends on what Tera option and like if they're Taunt Gholdengo, Fake Out, etc. That could throw a wrench in things, but as it stands, I'm pretty happy with this lead. I have Rain up, meaning they... I guess Rain's not ideal, actually, because they didn't bring the Arcanine in the lead. But overall, not the worst. Like, I think they could start setting up on Okidoki, but if they are only their stab moves, they can't touch Gholdengo, and that's a free nasty plot if they didn't, like, Parting Shot or pivot out on either of these Pokemon. Yeah, and we do see Pelipper get out of there. Yeah, Okidoki is an interesting Pokemon. There are some, like, more Intimidate reliant teams that are really physical attacking, and if you get a bulk up, you basically just, like, own them the first turn and onward, but I think Parting Shot is into the Gholdengo. That's really bad for them. Yeah, that is super bad for them. Even if they go Tera Dark, I'd be kind of suspect if it actually knocks out Gholdengo. Yeah, I feel like they maybe go into the Ogre Pawn on one of these guys, which would be something, I guess. I could read that. Like if they go switch to Ogre Pawn, who do I have in the back? If they switch in Ogre Pawn, I'm not that worried about it, honestly, because I have Roaring Moon in the back to intimidate it. And I don't think the Okidogi will take a Shadow Ball. So yeah, they're switching out. Could be like Sinistra, Ogre Pawn in the back, in which case I didn't have a Smart Spore. But yeah, the Ogre Pawn's in there. And they go for Light Screen, which, fair enough. I do feel pretty confident that I can go for a Tera Dragon, second nasty plot, to kind of circumvent that, though. Like, I don't even have to, really. I can go Protect this turn. They can get up Reflect if they want. I guess the issue is if they Swords Dance. Yeah. I think I wouldn't... If I could do the turn over again, I would probably just go for the Nasty Plot and check the speed tiers, like Tera Dragon Nasty Plot, and Pollen Puff myself. Because I'm pretty confident I'll outspeed the Okidogi and knock it out with a Shadow Ball or a Make It Rain. But the Ogre Pawn setting up like Focus Energy or Swords Dance, even through with the Rain and like a Tera, like a Terastallization, that could be kind of dicey. But they go for Spiky Shield. Which does tell us something. It does tell us that they outspeed us on the Ogre Pawn because their Protect went before ours, which is notable information. Yep, Parting Shot into the Amoonguss. They've gotten the value out of their Light Screen. Fair. Unless it's Sinistra, they don't really have a switch in, though. And if it is Sinistra, that's fine. I think I just go Tera Dragon Pollen Puff. I don't even have to switch in Intimidate. Yeah, they'd maybe be able to get a Shadow Ball off, but that's not that crazy damage unresisted. Flutter Mane, okay, yeah, that's fine by me. Interesting play from them. I think now I just go for Make It Rain, Tera Dragon, take the knockout on that. Whoops, let's make sure we hit the R button. And Pollen Puff. No reason to bring out the Salamence just yet. I feel like Salamence is kind of weird in that it really wins matchups you should probably be winning anyways. Like, I don't know. It does let you play a lot riskier in the early game with your Gholdengo and let it go a lot lower in HP. If your opponent doesn't have priority, you can go for the late game Tailwind, but that's not what we're going for here. I wonder how much Tera Water Ivy Cudgel in the rain would do to us. Probably a fair bit, but they don't actually go for the Tera there. And we're going right for Make It Rain. If they're not Focus Sash, that's going to be a free knockout. And there is the Cudge. And it looks like it would have done 1.5 times 1.3 is not double. It's closer to... What is it? Oh wait, is it? Yeah, it's pretty close to the double, so they would have done... Oh, if they crit, they might have knocked out, huh? No, yeah. No, definitely not. If they had crit, then that's the 1.5, and if there's the 1.3 compound from the Tera type, then it would have done close to a knockout, but definitely not. Not for sure. Yeah, now I just like going for Spore into Okidogi, because you're not doing any damage with the Ogre Pawn. Actually, I feel like I just keep giving them openings to set up, when I could probably just be going for Nasty Pollen Puffs pretty safely. But I am effectively stalling out their Light Screen turn, so that's definitely good for my Landorus in the back to be able to spam Hurricane or Air Slash in the end of the game. You do see a Tera from them. I wonder if they're Tera Grass Okidogi. We are seeing a Tera. What you got? Ooh, Tera Water. Yeah, I'd rather the Okidogi do that than anything else. It's like reasonably likely they follow me here. to like stuff the spore attempt, but that's fine. Yeah, there's the follow me, so good play. They could start setting bulk ups, which would be a problem. Okay, yeah, fair enough. Bulk up, Ivy Cudgel, Drain Punch, or Gunk Shot would probably knock out my Gholdengo. Yeah, I finally... With the rain going away, maybe not. I think I'm gonna Nasty Plot Rage Powder here. I should be able to tank whatever hit they go for on the Amoonguss. Maybe live 2 with Rage Powder. If it's Poison Jab, I'd expect so. If it's Gunk Shot, probably not. Ooh, but they Spiky Shield. That's really leaving the Ogerpon slot open next turn for me to go Shadow Ball Spore. Yep, so we do confirm we're outspeeding the Okie Dokie, which is much appreciated. We're now at +3, and they go for another bulk up. Okay. That's interesting. I mean, I think if they leave the Okie Dokie open, I 2-hit KO it with Shadow Ball, so I think I'm going to go for that damage. They could switch into Grimmsnarl, Protect. I don't really see the value in doing so. They're actually threatening to redirect. Like, they can actually hit my Gholdengo. But, you know, it would be an option. They'll have to reset Light Screen at some point, but I think +3, even through screens, should be like 60 to 70% on Okie Dokie. And potentially put it into Make It Range. Make It Rain range, which should effectively end the game. Follow me though, smart play. Preserving their Okie Dokie best they can. Unfortunately, I do have to bring in the Ments at some point. But I think I can just go Make It Rain to knock out the... Yeah, knock out on the Ogerpon. And Ogerpon is a little bulkier than Okie Dokie. Usually they're trained to be, but it is Poison Jab, which is doing 220 minus 85. I gotta get better at my mental math for like tournament games actually. 220 minus 85 is 65 minus 200, which is 135 damage, which means they have a roll to knock us out. How many turns of Light Screen left? 2. Let's just go Protect. Let's just go Make It Rain. Well, they could Fake Out this turn. And in the case that they do that, I want to get this. They could bulk up to confirm the Poison Jab knockout, but I don't think that matters unless they're Focus Sash Grimmsnarl, which given we saw the Light Screen lasted for 8 turns, we know they're not. And it was Fake Out, so if we hadn't protected the Amoonguss and the Gholdengo, they would have had an opportunity to take a... okay, they go for bulk up, which, fine. That does move the needle on the Rage Powder, like, now they will knock me out with that, but then I just bring in Pelipper and then just like Light Screen goes down and the game kind of ends because I outspeed you and go for Shadow Ball. That is one of the things that Gholdengo can kind of do. After a certain... Like, it can be precarious to get the 1 or 2 nasty plots up, but once they're up, if Gholdengo has the right supports next to it, and if you've like maneuvered around your opponent's positioning a little bit better than they have, and you still have some of your defensive resources to like go for Fake Out or Make It Rain, Tailwind with Salamence, then you just have no chance of losing the game. At some point it's just a foregone conclusion, and this is really one of those times. Like maybe Safety Goggles, Okie Dokie would have been good for them here, but yeah. Reflect, just praying that I have a physical Salamence in the back, but we'll see how much the Make It Rain does. Not non-zero damage. Maybe I should have been going for Shadow Ball. Because it might be able to live a hit now, but I kind of doubt it. With Light Screen wearing off, it shouldn't be an issue. So the Daug does get 1 KO. Very nice for them. And we go to Pelipper to guarantee our 100% accurate Hurricanes and close it out from there. Leftovers is disappointing to see because they're almost certainly going to go for a Protect. But I'm going to bring in the Pelipper just so I don't bring in the Salamence and give them hope of that. Man, I really haven't gotten a lot of usage out of the Salamence. Like, as I really wish I could have. But yeah, we do just take this knockout, no matter if they protect. With light screen having gone down, we are +2 Gholdengo. There's just no chance. Very nice. They don't hit the cancel button. They want to see how well trained their dog is, and not well trained enough. So yeah, I do think against more passive teams, like aggressive setup like Gholdengo that's immune to status, can kind of just like bypass light screen by setting up enough times, is really, really strong. And thinking on what they could have done, I think losing the Flutter Mane was a really bad mistake. I mean, not like a bad mistake. Obviously, it was like difficult for them after that because I could go Tera Dragon with near impunity. Even though I set up the rain for them, they probably were expecting to be able to beat the Gholdengo with just the Ogre Pawn, but after the Pollen Puff support plus the Tera Dragon, the damage output just wasn't there from the Ogre Pawn. So that is going to do it for our games today, featuring the top rain team from the Toronto Regionals. Got top 8, top 16, and top 32 with everyone who used the team. Unfortunately, I don't think we were able to show off the cooler parts of the team. The Salamence, unfortunately, was never able to set up a Tailwind sweep for the Gholdengo, never really able to go for really strong Terrifying Hurricanes. Unfortunately, the ranked battle season ended right towards the end of the session when I was hoping to get one of those games with that. But all in all, I do think it's a really strong team, very exceptional if you're a strong player positionally, if you're able to set up pieces like Gholdengo. Like, if you're a player that really enjoys setting up one piece on the team, whether it be the Gholdengo or the Salamence, you can really drive endgames to that with the really strong supports. The Iron Bundle, Amoonguss, Pelipper, and Iron Hands aren't really team leaders, I would say. It's really the Salamence and the Gholdengo that are directing the flow of the game. But yeah, if you enjoy a team like that, definitely give this a try. The rental code is in the top right of the video, shared by Xiliang Tang, one of the players who was able to use the team and pilot it to great success. He was very gracious to actually provide that on Twitter. I have his Twitter in the description below, along with the Pokepaste with the EV spreads for the team. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe to the channel. And with all that being said, peace y'all.